Bullies mock the new girl during training, unaware she was trained in SEAL skills by her own father. Begins with the morning fog hanging low over the training ground as recruits formed up in uneven lines, boots sinking slightly into damp gravel, the kind of place where confidence was stripped away and rebuilt through sweat and humiliation. And when she stepped out of the transport truck with a duffel slung over one shoulder, no one paid her any serious attention at first because she looked like every other newcomer except quieter, smaller, more reserved, her hair pulled back tight, eyes forward, posture straight but not showy, the kind of person bullies often sensed as an easy target. And it did not take long for the whispers to start as they noticed how she checked her gear twice, how she adjusted the straps with careful precision, how she didn't joke or brag like the others. And the loudest voices belonged to the usual pack of self-appointed leaders who had already decided who would break first, laughing under their breath and making remarks about how long she would last, about how training would chew her up and spit her out before lunch. And she heard every word but gave no reaction because silence was something her father had taught her long before this place ever existed in her life. Back when she was a child, waking before sunrise to the sound of waves and a steady voice telling her to lace her shoes tighter, to breathe slower, to listen more than she spoke, and to never reveal her strength until it mattered. And as the instructor's whistle cut through the air and the day officially began, the bullies made sure to crowd her space, shoulder checking her as they jogged, smirking when she stumbled on loose gravel, making jokes loud enough for everyone to hear, calling her new girl, calling her soft, calling her lost. And during the first endurance run they intentionally set a pace meant to break her, surging ahead and then slowing just enough to force her to constantly adjust. But what they did not see was how evenly she breathed, how her stride stayed efficient, how her eyes remained calm because long ago her father had made her run beaches with weighted packs while timing her breath with the crash of waves, teaching her that panic, wasted energy and pain was just information. And when they reached the obstacle course and one of the bullies loudly offered to help her over a wall with mocking politeness, she ignored him and climbed smoothly, hands finding holds without hesitation, dropping down on the other side with a controlled roll that drew a few surprised glances but not enough to stop the laughter. And the insults grew sharper during hand-to-hand drills when they paired her with larger trainees who thought it would be funny to test her, pushing harder than necessary, trying to intimidate her with size and aggression. And the first time one of them charged in sloppy and overconfident, she moved without thinking, sidestepping, redirecting momentum, locking a joint just enough to prove a point before releasing instantly. And the instructor barked at them to reset, chalking it up to luck, while the bully laughed it off and called it a fluke, unaware that the move came straight from hours of training in a dusty garage where her father, a retired operator whose past was spoken of rarely and carefully, had drilled her on leverage, balance, and restraint, reminding her that real skill never needed an audience. And as the day wore on, the mockery intensified because bullies hate what they cannot easily control. They mocked her silence at meals, her focus during briefings, her refusal to complain when blisters formed or muscles screamed, and one even made a cruel joke about her father, assuming she came from nothing, assuming she had no idea what she had signed up for. And that was the moment something hardened quietly inside her, not anger but resolve, because her father had been everything in her life, the one who had taught her to swim in cold water until her limbs went numb, to stay submerged longer than comfort allowed, to think clearly while her body begged to quit, to understand teamwork by practicing alone until she could be trusted in a group. And the next morning when they moved into water training, the bullies were confident again, splashing loudly, showing off, pushing each other under, making jokes about who would panic first. And when they saw her standing calmly at the edge, checking her mask, they smirked. But once submerged she moved like the water belonged to her, strokes efficient, turns clean, conserving oxygen. And when one of the bullies tried to startle her underwater by grabbing her ankle, she reacted instantly, not with panic but with a precise escape that left him wide-eyed and sputtering when they surfaced. And whispers began to change tone, curiosity replacing ridicule, yet pride kept the bullies from backing off. And during a nighttime navigation exercise they deliberately fed her wrong directions, pointing her toward rough terrain, hoping she would fail quietly. But she trusted her own bearings, reading the land the way her father had taught her. Stars overhead, wind on her face, counting steps, and she arrived at the checkpoint early, calm and steady, while they stumbled in late, frustrated and confused. And the instructors took notice then, not with praise but with longer looks, with subtle changes in pairings, with harder tests, and the pressure increased during a simulated stress scenario where trainees were pushed to exhaustion before being ordered to perform complex tasks under shouting and confusion. And the bullies tried once more to rattle her, yelling insults, questioning her place there. And something finally shifted because she realized this was the moment her father had prepared her for. Not the physical tests but the mental one. The choice of when to reveal capability. And she stepped forward, voice steady, taking charge without shouting, organizing movements, assigning roles with clarity, anticipating problems before they happened, and the chaos settled, the task completed efficiently, and silence fell heavy afterward, broken only by the instructor's measured nod. And later that night as the bullies sat nursing bruised egos, they overheard a quiet conversation between instructors, fragments about her background, about a man who had once trained others at the highest level, about skills passed down not as privilege but as responsibility, and the realization hit them harder than any physical blow, that the new girl they had mocked had been forged long before this place, not in comfort but in discipline, guided by a father who knew the cost of weakness and the value of humility. And the next day the tone changed, the bullies no longer mocking but watching, some with respect, some with resentment, and when one finally muttered an apology she accepted it without triumph because she did not need validation, only progress. And as training continued she never boasted, never revealed details of her past, letting her actions speak quietly, consistently, until the bullies understood the lesson too late, that strength hidden is often the most dangerous. And as this story comes to a close, remember that resilience is not always loud, that preparation done in silence can outmatch arrogance every time. And if you enjoyed this intense and realistic military story and want more powerful narratives like this one, make sure to subscribe to the channel Bravo Warrior Stories for more gripping tales of courage, discipline, and unexpected strength.